My name is Allison Field, and I want to welcome you to our YouTube channel, Create Your Blank, where we share stories of amazing people who have created their blank. We share how they got started, what inspired them, and their journey of creating where they are today. Today, we have Hannah McKitrick with us in the studio, and I'm excited to have her on with us to share her story. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you, Allison. So excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So please share a little bit about what you currently do out in the world.
Yeah, so I really can't believe that I do what I do. Like, it definitely still feels fake, but my business is My Intuitive Health, and I bring people on culinary and wellness retreats in Italy, in Greece, and I also teach mind-body healthy cooking programs. And what I help people do is embody a lighter way of being and not take themselves too seriously and just bring in more play and joy and fun back into their lives. So we do this obviously on retreat and also in the kitchen, because people can have a hard time around food, and it's like a lot of people at the end of the day don't want to cook dinner. And so I help people bring the joy back into the kitchen, back into food, back into flavor, so that they can really access their next level of vibrancy, both physically and energetically.
Wow, cool. That's exciting. So let's dig in a little deeper. So you didn't wake up wanting to do this, right?
I didn't. No, not at all.
I just find it fascinating how people get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking of doing when you were younger?
Yeah. So I've always been very driven, and I wanted it to be successful. I knew that. I wasn't quite sure what the outlet was, and I sure as heck didn't think that I could actually combine my passion with success. Like, I didn't know that that was an option. And I remember doing some exercise one time about finding your passion, and some of the questions were like, what in a grocery store, what magazine are you always drawn to? Like, what magazine do you always want to pick up and look at? And for me, there's two things: the health and wellness magazines and the food magazines. Like, always, like food, wellness, health. Like, I loved those. And especially food. Like, as a kid, like I would always be like, well, what did you eat today? And like, I'd be helping my dad in the kitchen and baking and watching Food Network. I was even watching the Magic Bullet infomercials like on repeat, like just because they made chocolate mousse in it and whatever. Seriously.
Yummy chocolate.
Yeah. And so when I went to college, I decided to major in economics, not because I liked it, because I thought it sounded smart. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what was I thinking? I also did psychology, which I actually do like, but I did economics. And my job in college, I was working at the college bake shop, like as their little baker. And it was so much fun. And so out of college, I was kind of looking for food business type of jobs. And I did find one. I was an outside sales manager at a corporate catering company. And so I was like, oh my gosh, perfect. Like, it's a real job and it has to do with food, and like, we're set. And of course, that wasn't enough, but that was kind of my avenue into kind of flirting with the idea that maybe I could combine some things.
That's super cool. I always like to know and what was your degree in economics?
Yeah. Economics and psychology.
Okay. I just find that fascinating because, we think, when we're younger that we have to pick what degree are we going to get? And then there's the whole conversation of, just because you get a degree in economics, you're not going to be an economist, or a teacher, or, what do you actually do with that? Yeah. And so I always find it fascinating, the path that people take and what inspires them. And I love that question that was asked on your passion project. Well, when you're in a grocery store, what magazines do you gravitate to? So that kind of gave you some insight, right, into your loves and what charges you up.
Exactly. And, I remember after college, some people were going on to continue their education, and I felt viscerally, I didn't want to go study in a classroom anymore. I felt like I was going to be learning on the field what I needed to know. And everything that I teach and do in my business is all stuff that I've learned post-grad for the most part, and so that's interesting.
That is interesting. So I read something that you posted recently about the type of retreats that you offer. And you do not offer the kind of retreats where you dig into your pain and suffering. You didn't use the word suffering, but the shadow side of things. And you tap more into the fun and joy. And then that leads to more consciousness expansion, right?
Yeah.
And I read that and I love that so much. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll back up by saying when I was 12, I went through trauma at camp. And ever since then, I brought home this like shadow cloud of darkness with me, like seriously, from that camp. And I lived in that heaviness for so many years, and it consumed me. And all of the work I've done since then has a lot of it's been kind of unlearning that and learning how to not take things so seriously and not feel like you need to control everything and micromanage everything. And for me, the pathway through that was giving myself experiences of lightness and of joy. It wasn't like camping out in that heaviness. Like that didn't serve me at all. What served me was shifting my entire energy field. And so on my retreats themselves, like you said, it's not trying to dig up a shadow where there isn't one, right? Like, because sometimes people who are so self-growth oriented, which people are who come on my retreats, it can be sometimes like looking for what's wrong, but it's like, nothing's wrong and you don't need to fix anything. Instead, what do you want? And so I do desire-based frequency coaching. So really allowing people a space to presence what it is that they desire in their next level, whether it's in work, in their business, in their relationships, in their life, in their being, and just allowing them to feel that. And what happens is what's not in resonance with that next level will naturally fall away. And so once they get present to that desire, we then go integrate the joy and integrate the fun I like to curate these experiences that are kind of extravagant in the sense that they just nurture you so fully and wholly, like dinners on the beach, cocktail parties on the terrace, winery tastings, olive oil tastings, like pizza parties, like hand tossing the pizza and just getting silly with the group. And I find that those experiences that are intentionally curated to bring out that excitement and that exuberance and that connection and that joy are what shifts the needle into an elevated consciousness, into more healing, into the self-growth that is actually, in my opinion, if there is an end goal, there's no end goal, but it's like having fun is the end goal, right? And so
Right.
it allows like the frequency bridging of that to like give your body that experience of just having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. And that's what transformation really, that's where it happens. And that's what it's all about, is raising our frequency, right? So that we can tap into our higher mind and our higher self and our expanded consciousness to really hone in on what it is that lights us up, like you did with your passion project, and to really hone in on what makes our heart sing. Cool. I love that so much. So what do you think is the biggest challenge about what you do?
You know, for a while, I felt like, but what I'm learning now is that similar to the sense that your major in college doesn't define your career path, what I'm doing now in my business doesn't define my business in 1 year from now, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now. And so I'm learning that actually my body of work is ever evolving, which is so annoying in a way, because it's like, don't you just want to find the thing and stick with the thing and like, then you're set. But I'm learning that since I am evolving so quickly, so is my business and so is what I want to teach and what I want to talk about. And so I've been learning to just hold it a little bit more fluid and allow it to kind of continue to shapeshift into what it wants to be. Like it started out as just a healthy cooking company to help people have more fun in the kitchen. And now it's like a raising consciousness company by like going on retreats in Italy and stepping into your next level of frequency and shifting your energy field. And we still do the healthy cooking, but it's just the spin is a little bit different. And I'm sure in 2 years, it'll be completely different, right? So I think being able to hold it with enough structure, but enough room to evolve along the way as well.
I love that. And I love the integration of the food with the expanded awareness and expanded consciousness and energy. Because it is all essentially, because I'm an energy coach, it is all about energy, right? And there's energy of food, there's energy of space, there's energy of desire, there's energy within our passions, and all of that is contributive to the end goal, if there was an end goal, right?
Right. The fake end goal.
The fake end goal, yeah. Because we're never done until we're dead, right?
Yeah. And even then, it's like, who knows?
And then, right? What are we going to come back as next? I'm going to come back as somebody at your retreat.
You can create that now, Allison.
I can really do that now. I'm working on that.
Yeah.
So I love that so much. So what do you recommend for someone who is, kind of in their inquiry phase of what it is they want to do? And I'm sure many of your guests at your retreats come not knowing and not being sure. What would you recommend to somebody who's kind of putting their water?
Yeah. So I would start with a journal and, thinking of the different exercises that I've done throughout the years, I didn't know how pivotal they were at the time until I looked back and I was like, oh my God, I think I just manifested this from this one past passage. And so I remember the first one that I did, I was at a job that I did not like. I was not happy. And I wrote down a 6-month letter to myself, like write a letter to yourself in 6 months or something, I think was the prompt of like where you're at, what you're doing in your dream world. And I did. And my 6 months after I wrote that looked so much different than where I was. So I was working at a corporate job at the time. 6 months later, I had quit my job. I was studying at the Academy of Healing Nutrition in London, getting my yoga teacher training in Malta, had completely pivoted into the health and wellness space and was living in some country across the world. And that wasn't even in my conscious mind. But having the space to just brain dump and write down what your future version of you looks like, I think people can access that, whether they think they can or not. Some people are like, I don't know what I want. And that's okay. Have your pen do the work and stream of consciousness, just start writing things down, start writing your dreams down, because your higher self will come in and speaks to you through your desires. And so what you're dreaming of now, that is what's meant for you. And you just giving space to write that, that's huge. So that's one thing. And then the second thing that was really pivotal for me was a daily practice that I started in January 2020. At that time, I was working at a different corporate job, and this one was more in the health and wellness space. And I was happy. I was doing very well at my job and I was content, but I got this journal and someone at home can do this on their own. They don't need to buy this journal. They can just get a piece of paper and every day write down 5 things you're grateful for that happened the day before. So I'm grateful that my niece ran over and hugged me when I walked in the door or whatever, something specific to get your brain into that space of gratitude and receiving. And then write down after that 10 dreams that you made happen as if they've already happened. I look back to that journal in 2020 and it's I have a health and wellness company. I have a website with over 100 recipes. I run retreats in Italy. And I didn't even know I wanted to do that. And then I look back and I'm oh my God. And I did all of that, check. And it was honestly freaky. And so I totally recommend that to everyone.
Yeah, I'm writing that down. The 10 dreams. That's a really good one. And y'all out there, whoever wants to manifest your dreams, write it down, right? It's such a powerful exercise in manifesting. And I just love that those are your 2 go-tos.
Yeah. And I'll still dabble in them because my gosh, Allison, I have so many stories of just mind-blowing manifestations like that. It's cool.
Yeah. I love manifesting. It's so fun.
Yeah.
So that's super cool. So do you have any events you want to share with our audience coming up?
Yeah, I have a retreat in Italy, obviously, because I'm obsessed with retreats in Italy. It's my thing. I have one coming up in November. I know. In November of 2025, it's a retreat for women entrepreneurs. It's a culinary and wellness retreat. And the goal of it is to bring more joy and fun back into your soul, into your being, into your work, and continue to follow what lights you up and shed anything or shift anything that is weighing you down.
Love it. What are the dates in November?
It's November 1st to 7th.
Okay, cool.
And,
Yeah.
and all on my website. You can sign up right there, or you can book a call with me if you want to chat to see how it could change your life.
Okay, cool. And how do people get a hold of you?
My website is myintuitivehealth.com.
Great.
Yeah.
And all those will be in the show notes after this. So, all right. Well, that is a wrap for today. If you enjoyed this segment, feel free to add comments, as we'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to receive notifications for future episodes, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you so much, Hannah, for being with us today. Thoroughly enjoyed our time together. It went so fast. I mean, I can't believe it.
Thank you.
And good luck with all that you do. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.